say no to things you've gone to for years and years. You might start saying no, and you have to build emotional strength to disappoint people. You need to. Hi there. I'm making some really awkward videos today because I'm in the car on an unplanned trip to see my son, where there was a school shooting at his university, Florida State. And so I'm driving up with the dog to go spend time with him. And so I am vlogging from the car, and the phone is fogging up. If I put it on the windshield, it overheats. So I'm just working with what is. So I've got it on a tripod, but it still is an awkward situation. So what I wanted to talk about in this moment right now is just to give a little overview of KindEdge.com, the process. So I've been talking about some of the hacks, the mindsets, the foundational mindsets, concepts, but in KindEdge, what I'm publishing are the distinct little bite-sized steps that help you pull out of yourself without you having to kind of reinvent the wheel and take what you imagine as your goal, your dream, the big transformation you want in your life, the relationship change you want in your life, the change in the way you want to use your life minutes. It is hard to get those things in motion when all the trains in your life have already left the station and you have so many responsibilities. I built a process on myself after 20 years of being very disappointed by lots of inspiration out there, but nobody had the practical solutions to actually make it happen when we're running around busy during the day, trying to find the time to start to build the things that we want to build, and so on and so forth. So I built KindEdge.com with the mindset of implementing. I tested this and I learned, this is what's missing from all the guru inspo out there, is practical bite-sized steps that are little worksheets that even when I'm tired and I'm stuck in some sort of lobby waiting, I can pull these decisions and factors and I can get clarity on the next step. And it gets pulled out of me even when my brain is muddled, because it's just one worksheet. It's one little worksheet. And at the end of every worksheet, we hook to one next action and one next external person we're going to meet with and take action. Meet with a banker, that kind of thing. So I haven't really given the full overview in a video of, and I'm sorry this video is so bad, but I've got to do what I've got to do. I'm in the car, things are foggy, etc. So the KindEdge process is in 3 phases. The first phase is about getting clarity. So you may have a very simple goal, and you may say, I want to run a marathon. I want to climb Mount Kilimanjaro. I want to start a charity organization. I'm just going to run along doing it. I want to start a new business. I want to change my career. I want to get rid of a bad person in my life. I want to get a divorce. And you think proactively, you are just doing that thing. It seems like something you can write down on a to-do list, and you just proactively would do that. And what you don't realize is you have to do a lot of deep work and get written clarity, not on the one thing you want or the one solution you seek, but how that is going to fundamentally unchoose hundreds of other things in your life, from objects you traditionally invest in, objects that you own in your life, people that are in your life, the way you spend your minutes, the environments that you let yourself into, the invitations that you accept, the choices that you make. There is a vast unchoosing required before you can get any one thing inserted into your life. And as you make those unchoosings, you have to have already done the homework on why this is so critically important, on why every minute you've got left in your life needs to be spent carefully, and why you might need to change the house you live in, change the way you spend money on vacations. Say no to things you've gone to for years and years. You might start saying no, and you have to build emotional strength to disappoint people. You need to get clarity so that you're able to comfortably, in a relaxed fashion, say, yes, I am doing this. Yes, this is so important that I'm no longer doing that other thing. Or yes, I'm having to make a decision about not sending my kids to the same school. I mean, that's a hard decision to if you're spending less on your kids' education and you're choosing for yourself, you have to do the work to say, is this that important to me? And do I have extra time at the end of my life to put this on hold? That's phase one, which is every little worksheet to get black and white about, am I willing to unchoose this for that goal? Am I willing to unchoose this for that goal? There's a long series of steps, but what's critical is that you do them in real life on a real piece of paper, so that when people start to mess with your head and say, oh no, that's not what you want to do, or I know you were going to work on that next draft of your book, but just come to my party this weekend. No, you have to know why you're doing this, and you have to see the minutes ticking forward. And if you're booking anything for a New Year's resolution, you have to see how futile and self-defeating that is, because January 1st will never be any better than your busy, crazy, mucky today. So don't ever put it in the future. Test out your goals today, because today is the test. If it wasn't easy to get done today, it's not going to get any better. And so you have to do this unchoosing. So phase one is getting the clarity on your North Star and starting to figure out what every yes that you say, every time you say yes in your life, you are the phase one in KindEdge.com. All of the steps help you get deep clarity on if this is important, how important, what are you willing to unchoose to make room for this thing financially, logistically, time-wise, and do you have the muscles for change? The muscles for change that you need to build up are things like deep comfort with tough conversations, deep comfort with disappointing others, all of these things, so on and so forth. So that's phase one. Phase two is KindEdge 360. So as you say, I'm going to functionally go forth on this. Now I'm clear on this goal. I'm clear on this path. I know my North Star. I'm taking action. I'm building progress. KindEdge 360 is the foundation that's required for this to actually work. And I tested this on myself. If you are not physically fit, mentally fit, soulfully fit, and systematically fit, you will fail in any of those areas. And your goal will just stop. It'll just disappear. You'll get halted and say, oh, I couldn't do it. Well, why? Because I got sick and I was sick, and so I didn't want to have that tough conversation because this person in my life or my employer or my spouse had already dealt with me being sick for a couple of months. And so I didn't want to start asking for things, right? So if you're not physically healthy, you're not going to have the energy and drive you need to ask for these big, difficult, important things and negotiate like a boss. In kind, if you are going in to give a presentation to, let's say you want to start a business and you want to go to a incubator startup organization and give a presentation in hopes of getting funding from them, that's not about creating a business plan and filling out documents and creating a PowerPoint presentation. You sure as shootin' better have been to the gym every day for the last month. You better have wonderful physical fitness in terms of your, VO2 max. you better have been investing in your body, because your body's going to give out before any PowerPoint gives out. They're going to see you shaking. They're going to see you nervous. They're going to see you unable to catch your breath. And you need to be physically fit to get through all of the days in advance. And you need to be able to handle stress through exercise. So you can't have all these tough conversations and take on these big challenges if you're ignoring your body. It's not just in your mind, it's your body. And in the same way, your mind needs to be strong, fed by all of the foods that you need. You know, you need to have choline in your brain to be able to take action, make decisions, and so on and so forth. You need to have a brain that is ready to work, that is trained, that is disciplined, that is able to handle hard things and return to hard things. All of that is your mind. And you need to be able to have your soul very much in touch with reality. So it is important that you are soulfully fit, and meaning you know your higher purpose, you know what you connect with spiritually, you know where your limits and boundaries are, you find joy in every day. So as you plow through difficult processes, you need to know every day that you're connecting with things that bring you joy in that day. And you need to be unapologetic about receiving. Sorry, since I'm driving, I'm getting updates. So you need to have a soul that is just very whole and prepared, and you're not seeking, you're not desperate for outside attention. So for example, when you take on a big tough challenge, people are going to disapprove of you. People are not going to understand why you're pursuing some sort of creative goal when you've always been in some sort of one industry. You need to have such a centered self that external approval and the concept of change in you is not alarming, and that you don't feel that sense of lack or want or abandonment when you're changing your networks or the way you spend the minutes in your day. So you need to be soulfully fit. And then systematically, you need to say, well, this is crazy. This darned thing keeps happening every week. The landscapers park in front of my car and then I'm late to my important appointment. Or my boss is always, I'm planned to do this important project in the evening, but I work for a company that doesn't respect my time, and I have no personal time to get my personal goals going forward. Or I keep using this software to track my project progress, and the software keeps failing, or it has so many problems it just slows me down. All of these things need to be fixed and functional in order for you to smoothly roll forward on your goals. Your goals are important. Your goals are valid. Your goals are beautiful. Your goals are special. They're unique. They're bespoke to you. And having all of these things in place is what the phase 2 of KindEdge is, which is, are you respecting yourself? Are you building yourself to be ready for the project of you? Are you physically fit? You can't just say, oh, I want to get this other degree and I'm going to go to college at night. I'm going to get a master's degree at night. You can't do that and not go to the gym because you're going to be exhausted. And so you need to have your physical fitness as a backup superpower for the times when you're tired. And you need to have that ebb and flow of high energy and release of energy for the late nights where you're going to need to study. And so you can't ignore any of these. So KindEdge 360 is, let's get all the pieces together. And then included in KindEdge 360 is a process of experimentation. So there is no one way that fits everyone. So you go through experimentation of, when do you get your best energy? Are you that person that would do well to wake up at 4 a.m.? Well, I tried that. I crashed by 3 p.m. and I wasn't really useful to myself in the rest of the day. But I love waking up at 5:30, and I don't feel good waking up at 7. I like to get ahead. I like to wake up every day at 5:30, and I get ahead. I get my big rocks accomplished. And then I just feel like everything else the day has its own momentum. It's just rolling downhill. So, but then there's other people I know that are just creative geniuses at 11 o'clock at night. And that's what they should do. That's what works for them. So I've worked out all these little experiments of what do I want. And then I did one of the funny blogs that I've posted that always gets comments is I keep doing things that are just experiments of, do I like this? You know, what kind of exercise class, if I'm going to be going to the gym, what kind of exercise class do I want? Do I want to join a club? Do I want to join a, running group? And so on. And I've ironed out what works for me. But I love my yoga studio, and it literally is, my yoga studio is mind, body, soul, and everything else. So it literally checks every box. But I took a naked yoga class at my yoga studio, and that was very challenging for me to do. And it was very cool. I was very proud of myself, and I would do it again. I just wouldn't do it every day, but I would do it again because it's a huge source of self-reflection and like, why do I even feel this is so weird? But it was cool. And so, but then also just lots of it. There's things in every city in the nation and in the world that you could try out. There's this thing called dark dancing. So people who do these like kind of spiritual dances in the dark, I try that. Like, I don't think it would be my cup of tea forever, but I want to just do all these things. Water horses, going horseback riding in the water, and just what are the hobbies that fit me? One thing that I love is I just love going and hitting some balls at the golf course. I just like to, do a little putting, grab a bucket of balls, hit some balls. And I've been ignoring that lately because it's been the world, it's been kind of a crazy year for me. And so I've told myself I need to work that in as a big rock soon, because it's something I enjoy. I find it very playful and fun, and it just fits me, fits my mind. So all these experiments of like, let's see if that works. Let's see if that works as my after workout treat on the weekends. If I just go hit some balls, like play with things, and then see if that needs some sort of other energy or whatever. So KindEdge 360 phase 2 is experimentation. And then phase 3 is getting the process rolling. So so after we've done the ideation, there's a part in the middle where we say, okay, if we're going to make this life turn into that life, let's get a super detailed list of every single factor that is going to need to change. And in my corporate communications consulting, we use a tool called gap analysis. So you do a gap analysis and you say, oh my gosh, there's about 100 things I'm going to have to renegotiate with. I'm going to have to change how I do this. I have to talk to this person. I have to change who picks up who at this day. I need to find a babysitter to cover that. I need to, oh my gosh, I'm going to need to move to a new city. I'm going to have to renegotiate something with my employer. All of these things to fit old life into new life. You have to close the gap on all this gap assessment. And that becomes a huge project. But that is literally what gets things in motion to unlock the alternate ending to your life. It's real. It's not like someday I'm going to do this, or I'm trying to do this, but I don't know why another year's gone by and it didn't really come to fruition. That's it. You gotta close the gaps on hundreds of details. They're action oriented. So when you see this gap analysis, you say, okay, now I know what I need to do. I've got all these steps. I've got all this. I need to have a conversation with this person, so on. And so phase 3 is treating it like a project, which is you decide if you're going to do the Excel spreadsheet avenue, which I always fall back to because it's just more effective and more real. But Excel spreadsheet, you can use at Trello. There's Asana. There's a million project management tools, and as long as the tool doesn't obfuscate the truth of your progress, which some of these tools do, they have so many, the Kanban style layout and cutesiness. Too much cutesy and too many collapsed sections under collapsed sections aren't visceral enough. And so I would say go with Excel spreadsheet, make it visceral, make it printable, very easy to print. So you're hands-on. And then you have sub-tabs of sub-projects that expand and that explode and have babies of tasks. And so you get it in motion, and then every conversation from there is an experiment and a choice. So every conversation from there is do what works in real life. It's I write about it on KindEdge.com, but it's do what works in real life. You run tests, you try something, but the KindEdge way is not jumping off a cliff and jumping over the abyss. You're building small planks that create a bridge from where you are now to where you want to be. And every small plank is safe, meaning you're not quitting your job in one day and taking your kids out of school and so on. You're not building regret. You're testing it out. Is this a way that works for me? If you're building a new business, do you want to have contractors, or does that become such a nightmare? And employees and contractors, does that become a nightmare and a risk where you realize, oh, I can just plug into other organizations that are agencies that would just do the work for me, and I want to be this kind of solopreneur and just have all these agencies that do these outside bits where I have very little long-term accountability. And for some people, they want to build a team for whatever they're doing. There's a lot that you can get in motion, and you test it out, and you test it out with the ability to take one step backwards, adjust direction, you sit and reflect. You reflect on what worked, no judgment. It's not that was bad or good. You didn't fail. It's all good. It's new experience, new learning, new testing, and then you go forward. And that is, the KindEdge.com process is fundamentally different from anything that inspires you and leaves you waiting for the future, waiting for January 1st, waiting for a new year, waiting for a better day. The KindEdge.com process is small, bite-sized, doable steps that actually start unlocking new things, unlocking new learnings, unlocking new decisions, committing your time differently, and making space for you to achieve the project of you. So this is just kind of an overview that I hadn't done, and since I'm here, I've got an overview on KindEdge.com if you want to read. But as far as videos and things that you can consume when you're multitasking, I didn't have that all in here. So I hope you'll join me on KindEdge.com. You can go to KindEdge.com/subscribe to sign up to follow the website. And on YouTube, you can follow it KindEdge, KindEdge. And feel free to comment if you know what KindEdge stands for, where I got that name. I'll post a video about it, but it's written in KindEdge.com. But I think it should make sense, but it's got a little meaning there. So KindEdge. So I hope you unlock the alternate ending to your life, and I hope you'll join me on this journey. It is not going to be easy, but it's going to be fun. Peace.